Thank you all for attending and everyone who is watching this recording from home. It's good to know everyone who is attending is a close associate of mine, and I appreciate all of your efforts to help me in my informative speech project. With that in mind, let's begin. Before delving too far deep into what Buddhism encapsulates, it would be wise to discuss the actual origins of the philosophy itself. Beginning with the story of Siddhartha Gautama's birth, his travels, and teachings, we will start to see how the key tenets of Buddhism developed. Moving on to the philosophy, after the death of Buddha, we will cover how Buddhism really became a rival of many ancient philosophies in the world religion today. It's a good method to help this audience remember and to pique the interest. The most important aspects of the speech, the Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and the main tenets of Buddhism will be saved for near the end. Now, in the year 560 BCE, Maya Devi, the wife of the Kshatra lord, was making her way from Kalpitu to Devada, two villages in what is now modern day Nepal. Before Devi reached her destination, she stopped at Lumbini, a small sanctuary on the way to Devada, where she gave birth to Siddhartha Gautama. It is believed by many Buddhists today that Siddhartha Gautama could walk immediately after exiting the womb and came out perfectly clean. During his childhood, a wise sage called a Brahmin prophesied that Siddhartha would become a religious teacher in his adulthood. A life of itinerant begging usually accompanies such endeavors, so Siddhartha's father sought to give his son every worldly pleasure he could imagine to prevent this future. Later in his childhood, the young Siddhartha encountered three forms of human suffering for the first time. At, all of these led to his eventual abandonment of his luxurious life, one that sought for the means and to an end of all suffering. On a day into the city, Siddhartha encountered three representations: the elderly man, the sick man, and the man who was having a funeral procession, all indications of different forms of suffering in human life. After they were encountered much later in his life, he met a monk who had absolutely nothing, but seemed to be completely content. It was this that prompted Gautama to leave his wife, child, and the luxury of his home at the age of 30. Seceding from his privileged life and on a search for enlightenment, Siddhartha made many changes and walked many paths, prompting what many Buddhists refer now to as the Great Renunciation. Citing hair as a sign of vanity, he shaved his head and traveled for 6 years, meeting many gurus and priests who were teachers for information such as meditation. During attempts to reach enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama almost died from starvation and many periods of long meditation. During his travel to religious sites, like the Bodhi tree, which is where Siddhartha had meditated for under 3 days and gained enlightenment. During this time, he was believed to have encountered the demon Mara, the demon spirit believed to be Satan, who attempted to tempt him with promises of luxury and power, which Siddhartha declined. Mara asked Siddhartha to provide evidence of his goodness, which Siddhartha then replied to by touching the earth with his hand. And then the earth spoke for him and said, "I am his witness." Buddha defeated Mara and then returned to meditation to achieve enlightenment. Upon dawn of that day, the goal that he had set forth, he had awoken as Buddha, Sanskrit for enlightened or awoken one. With enlightenment achieved, Buddha began to spread his newfound knowledge. Beginning with a lecture in a deer park in modern-day Sarnath, he preached to 5 followers, which he told the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which were the guide to enlightenment, the most famous aspects of the Buddhist religion. In 270, Emperor Ashoka of the Mauryan dynasty in India began to spread the word of Buddhism. He was known previously for bloodthirsty and battle-hungry ways, began to spread peace through the kingdom through the words of Buddhism. His evangelism of Buddhism created a huge following, and any relics were created in his honor, in the honor of Buddhism and the teachings. Many sacred sites were then erected and visited where Buddha was born, died, and many other places were also major pilgrimage points for many Buddhists now today. Now, to discuss what the religion is all about, it might be interesting for you to know that there are 488 million Buddhists around the world. This was conducted by a Pew Research Center poll in 2012. Now, the three main branches are referred to as the Theravada, the Mahayana, and the Vajrayana. Now, these three can be divided into separate schools based on geographical location. Most of these schools respect the same universal laws of Buddhism. There are three main universal truths: the impermanence, the lack of self, and suffering. The ideas encompass the many immanent nature of things that change around us and the unsatisfactory feeling we have when they temporarily change, which is happiness. When you understand the universal truths, you understand the logic of the noble truths, which are the Four Noble Truths. All life is suffering. Desire and attachment cause suffering. The way to end suffering is to end desire, and the way to end desire is to avoid a life of materialism. Follow the middle path, one away from extreme luxury and one away from self torture and the need for more things. The Eightfold Path accompanies the Four Noble Truths in an attempt to give a sense of ethical and moral behavior and Buddha should follow. These are categorized by the right knowledge, the right purpose, speech, conduct, occupation, effort, awareness, and meditation. The ultimate Buddhist goal is to reach nirvana, only achievable through the Eightfold Path, which is known as a great enlightenment of knowing how to let go and of selflessness. If one followed these tenets and practicing selflessness and accruing good karma or a reflection of one's deeds, then you will achieve nirvana. It's an extinction of selfhood and a final reunion with the great world soul. Thank you for listening, but I'm afraid I've run out of time.